You should know that. You've done it. Seam allowance, it depends of course on the zipper and the width of the zipper, but it's at least 5/8 of an inch or 2 up to 3/4 inch. Because you want to create some kind of lap, so you have to have a little bit extra seam allowance to be able to do that. So let's do a 3/4 seam allowance. And my zipper is here. Let me see how long that is. So that's the seam allowance for lap zipper, 3/4 inch at the bottom, and I'll leave the top, and I crease it all the way up with the 3/4 inch. So whatever your seam allowance is. So the bottom part, if you sew it right to the edge, bottom part is usually stitched a little bit closer to the zipper. So that requires, because we want to create overlap, so the zipper has to be sitting like, because this is going to get a stitch like that, and this is going to get folded back. And I want this part extended out. So if this is, let me just draw a line so you can see. This is my seam allowance. But I want this to be underneath to be extended out. So this is my seam allowance on the lap zipper, okay, which I closed. But I want this to be extended out for zipper. So let me just extend it out by even 1/8 of an inch would do, or you can do 1/4 inch, close to 1/4 inch. And if you fold it from there, like this, you can see that it creates some kind of overlap with this, because that's going to line up like that, right? So that gets folded, and you can just stitch it right into the zipper like this. Let me just push this back, so you can see my seam allowance underneath. This is my overlap. You can stitch it all the way through, the top stitch it through. That creates the overlap that you need. Okay, and then when you put the top on, this one lines up with the zipper. Or you can just make that flat over and stitch the other side into the zipper. As I said, I'm not emphasizing on that too much because barely is going to get used, but it's good to know. So this gets pulled up, and this is going to be overlapping like this. So of course it requires the top stitching to hold it. So that's what we're going to do. Again, it depends how we're going to finish the top. A lot of time these just get waistband to finish, so you can just go ahead and top stitch this and put the waistband on. But there are times that you want to face it, not to do a top stitching. You want to face it and just put kind of a hook, small hook here to hold it. The same thing could apply to, the same thing that we did to invisible zipper could also apply to this. Before you top stitch this, that have this open, what you can do, you can just stitch the facing into it, like this. You can stitch the facing into the zipper, and then, let me just stitch it so you can see. And do the same thing that you did to the other one, but this time you know that this is your fold line. I'm gonna put a notch here so you can see. This is my fold line because you creased it already. You creased it already. I'm gonna understitch this. So when this gets folded back, because this is your crease line here, when this gets folded back, you fold it from that notch that you have, and you stitch the top. But don't forget, that's only if you have to put facing into this. If you decide to do a waistband, you don't need to do this. All you have to do is just top stitch it, and that gives you this. Okay? So that finishes this, so then you can just put the hook, and you can do the same thing in this side here, and that gets folded down and gets a hook and eye or something here to close it, or little tiny snaps to close it. That, of course, then you can go ahead and do the top stitching. I'm just going to slide this down and top stitch it all the way up. Becomes like that.